Why do companies hate work from home when not having to rent an office anymore would save them a lot of money? It depends. I run a law firm and WFH just doesn't really work in our setting. I'm sure it does in others. Some management doesn't trust some employees to work when they are not being watched. There is also some benefit when entire work teams are located together, as casual conversations build team spirit and can resolve questions and issues quicker than online email telephone communication. Also, new employees fresh out of school pick up the corporate culture and build relationship networks more easily when they are on site, together with experienced employees. Some owners are just old school sticklers, so they don't like it on principle. Others see a loss of productivity that may or may not be a greater loss than wasted office space. I'm a manager and I WFH full-time. I can tell you that productivity has definitely decreased with my WFH employees. Though I know it's not a blanket statement since I'm more productive. It really just depends on the person. Our main office is going to be leased either way, so it's not like WFH saves money. The whole office couldn't WFH because it requires too much coordination and interactions with people. Having a few people WFH full-time is fine. 100 WFH would be a disaster. We also have a policy that gives people almost 1 day per week to WFH. I've worked from home for 15 years now, and a lot of people are way less productive when working from home. A lot of people simply can't self-manage and drive themselves when on their own. In my experience, it's a minority of people who actually can make working from home work. Probably the perception that working from home is less productive because employees watch TV or run errands or whatever. Some companies Amazon's are calling workers back to the office not because they hate work from home or think their employees will be more productive, or even for the tax benefits, but as a way to reduce headcount without having to announce layoffs. Those companies figure X% of the employees they call back will decide to find work at a different company where they can continue working from home. This is often amplified when workers freed from having a physical location move far away from their original office, while allowed to work from home. And then the company tells them they have to come back to the old location. People who have built lives in the new location or are enjoying a lower cost of living in their new city are highly unlikely to return, and that's the point. I work in an industry where we have to be physically present to do our jobs. The IT people have decided they can do their jobs from home, but they can't. No, I cannot FaceTime with you yet again for yet another hour to figure out what happened because I have my own job to do. Why can't you just come in? 3 days a week per person? Yeah? Absolutely not, and they swear up and down it's going great, but we hate them. It's not going great. David Graeber, in his book Bullshit Jobs, puts forward the idea that a business with a lot of employees who are all beavering away at their tasks is a great demonstration for any potential customers and clients. It puts out a sort of awe-inspiring spectacle, much like how traveling kings and emperors of the past would have their massive entourages accompanying them, oftentimes filled with people who had no real job other than to praise the king and make him look more impressive to anybody who might be watching. So when you're not in the office, your boss has a hard time justifying just who or what they are boss of, which means that their job is now in danger. And if a bunch of lower managers start getting the axe, then the question of what would you say you do here moves up one level to their managers and so on. You must be in the office because it's job security for management. It makes it look like they are accomplishing something. Employers suspect that workers are goofing off at home. Personally, I prefer the office. No kids, dedicated space that isn't a tiny part of my house or in my basement, blazingly fast upload and download speed, snacks I didn't pay for, talking to a human that isn't 3 years old, and most importantly not looking at the same stuff every day all day long. I don't enjoy a long commute, but 10-20 minutes max to decompress is nice. Something about being cooped up in the house absolutely drives me bonkers. I think optional hybrid really is the way to go. Have significantly smaller office space for the people who need it. Not all companies rent some own buildings. Others are in long leases that would cost them a lot to break. Laziness. I do believe you lose something with everybody remote. It doesn't support team building and innovation among staff. Power and control for some. They don't like not knowing what you're doing even if your productivity is measurable. Others do function better in an office for creative or support reasons. Some are genuinely trying to build a culture and can't do that while you're at home. As a manager and an employee who has worked from home for last 20 years, I learned one thing: working from home is not for everyone, and not everyone can effectively work from home. Since I cannot selectively make some team members come to the office, everyone must come. My company was more productive, but the quality suffered. The worst part is that the 90% of the decline in quality was only like 10 of the staff. The problem is that decline in quality wrecked us. We also struggled to train people over the computer. It's one thing to provide presentations and lectures, but when we needed to have job shadowing, it kind of failed. The person would screen share for a bit and then it would get awkward or phone calls didn't work right. I used to have a job monitoring people working from home. Some were excellent and needed nothing from me. Some people were so blatantly dishonest in their actions, motives and work ethic. I mean so dishonest that they should have been prosecuted, but were instead investigated and then fired. I think it boils down to integrity, personality and self-motivation. Not everyone can work from home and do a good and honest day's work. Crazy some of the things I have seen. Because companies either one own the building, or two rent their office space and can't get out of the lease quickly. In either case, letting the employees WFH would mean they are paying for space they are not using. To them, that's abhorrent, so they make sure the space is used. I went from fully remote to partially remote. I'm more productive in office. I get more done. My team does as well. No one is running to the store or doing laundry or doing dishes in the office. No one is taking extra long lunch breaks. No one just randomly disappears online for an hour in the middle of the workday. If you are slow at home, you are more likely to do something not related to work. Whereas if you are at work, you are more likely to do something related to your work, get to the bottom of your to-do pile, etc. rather than commenting on Reddit, and the opportunities to have informal connections with colleagues is huge. It makes a big difference. Zoom sucks a lot is lost with Zoom meetings. I hate my commute, but I do think that working in person at least 2 days a week makes a huge difference in my work. Maybe not true for all fields, and I know successful orgs that are fully remote, but I do think you lose something being totally remote. It also kind of sucks to have your home be your work, frankly. It's stultifying and isolating sometimes. It always comes down to money. If they can do work from home to save money, they will, which is actually huge. If they didn't, the culprit is usually something else that's making it unprofitable. Like a lease to rent contracts, even if they own an empty building and having commercial real estate concerns. We don't KO the reasons behind the scenes, but for a profit-oriented company, if they can do all work from home and save, of course they would. A caveat is that they lose control when doing so. They have less control over the employees, and to some that's enough reason to not work from home and pay more money for offices, etc.